What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the O Show podcast. We're presented by Mayweather Boxing and Fitness in Scottsdale, Arizona, opening up Halloween weekend at the end of October. Mayweather Boxing and Fitness in Scottsdale is an inclusive brand, and of course, you could train like the man himself, Floyd Money Mayweather, again, opening in late October. We're also sponsored by betonline.ag. Sign up for that 50% bonus over at betonline.ag. Make your picks this week. NFL Week 5. Tom Brady returns to Foxborough this weekend. The Bucs taking on the Pats on Sunday Night Football. So stay tuned for that. Again, sign up for that 50% bonus only at betonline.ag. We got a special treat in the house today via satellite. She's in Los Angeles. Katie, what's going on?
Hey, Jack. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. Congratulations on your show.
Thank
I'm
you so
excited
much.
to, add a lot of value and have a fun conversation.
Congratulations on your show. You're doing a podcast as well, right?
Thank you. Yes. We had 3 full seasons. She's All Over the Place podcast. And season 4 will be launching in January 2022. So I'm really excited about it. It's arts and business and entertainment with ethics, morals, and values with a lot of fun.
I mean, it's awesome getting to pick people's brains about their experiences and what they've gone through to get to where they are. You know, especially in your line of work, there's a lot of stressful things. There's a lot of things that go up and down all the time, a lot of planning, a lot of going into it. You growing up in the Detroit area, correct? Like what
Yes.
kind of inspired you to want to get into the film industry and acting?
Great question. It's so wild because I'm Greek Orthodox Christian. So
Wow.
I'm a poet first and foremost. I love language. I love interaction with people and community. It's just really, really exciting for me. So I grew up listening, about Greek mythology and fantasy and play. And so it really gave me this open-mindedness and spirit to go out into the world, to be a seeker like Socrates, a philosopher, and see the world and understand culture and food and people. And that really just gave me this whimsical way about me of who I was. And just like all these colors just excited me through entertainment. And I really, at the bottom of the day, I just really wanted to make other people laugh and feel good. And I'm just very sensitive in that way. And I know what it feels like to be sad and what it's not, what it feels to not be laughing and inspired all the time. So I just really wanted to inspire other people.
So in that sense, did you want to be a comedic actor at first?
So, I just remember growing up with a broom in my hand, and we had it was on like a VHS tape back in the day. And I was like rocking and rolling to all this like 80s music, and I was utilizing my voice. I didn't know if it was for entertainment, to be a singer, to be a positive role model. I just knew like I had this powerful voice and I like to express, and I like that giggly feeling. So I didn't necessarily think stand-up comedy, improv, or comedy. I didn't know that language when I was a child, but I just know I wanted to make other people feel good. And so through the arts and have that transfer of energy. So whatever that would be as an artist, as a creator.
Wow. Yeah, you just proved it right there, deep and kind of, philosophical, I should say. You know, did you get that, not only from your passion, but like, what were your parents like growing up? Were they anything
So
like you?
my mom was a singer. She has a beautiful voice. So she would always sing, and we would go to church 45 minutes away because we're Greek Orthodox Christians. So we have the old calendar, like very traditional. So, we would listen to Casey Kasem, and we still do. And my mom would be singing these oldies. And so I would hear melodies and harmonies and feel good music when the language was about love and connecting and my girl, and all these
Right.
like beautiful word plays, of human interaction. So I think within the depths of my soul, I was in my circumstance around Motown. And then also with our Greek traditional roots, and my Yaya and Papu came from Greece. My Yaya, who's 92 years old, who I'm named after, Kyriaki, she's my bestest friend in the world. She would ride 10 hours or 10 miles, 10 hours, 10 miles in the morning and then 10 miles back on a donkey to pick blueberries for her work.
Wow.
So they come from very humble beginnings. And my parents in America were kids having kids. They were 18 and 19, having my sister Anna and myself. And I mean, I couldn't imagine having two kids when I was a teenager. And so they worked the traditional, full time, 40 hours a week, and then came home and provided dinner. And we had family meals every single night. And that was the system and routine. And when we went to school, when we came home, we had this space of independence. So through that space of independence, I was able to um, you know do whatever my heart called to and my desires. So it could be poetry, Greek mythology. So we were raised very independent and with this discipline to, if you want something, go for it. And so my being Greek as a child, my motto was just do it. Nike, to win. It's a Greek rooted word. Victorious people, Nikki, to win. So that was just like, I was like all or nothing. And it was just my go-to action.
Wow. So you figured that out pretty quickly, but at the same time, you got to battle adversity, battle some of the struggles, not only getting into it, but at the same time getting certain roles, getting certain jobs. What were some of those early on, even in today's realm? Like, what were some of those adversities that you had to battle in your career?
Oh, I mean, there's so many. I mean, I just shot a music video yesterday. That's why I have Dreamland on. And my friend Lewis, he, wrote this on me yesterday, and I shot a music video. And, I acted in it, music I created, I produced and directed it, and we're putting it into film festivals. And I have hair and makeup and locations and artists and talent. And as a producer, I'm just always putting fires out. So I'm just the process of elimination, understanding short term, medium term, and long term goals, and having the insight to, be communicative and understand other people's emotional needs. Feed the people, make sure they're hydrated, water, basic needs. When people want to show up and they have that enthusiasm and that power of excitement to create, those are the people I want to surround myself with. And if they're making excuses or gossiping or talking, like, I do a process of elimination. I get rid of that lower vibrational, small minded thinking. And I want people who don't know everything, who are so right, but more people who are really excited and inspired and open and willing to learn. I had coaches growing up. My dad was my number one coach. He ran cross country. He turned me on to cross country running. And that's where I learned about short term, medium term, long term goals. And what I do as a collective, as a team, affects the whole. Like what I do as an individual affects the whole. So cross country is a team sport, but it's an individual sport too. And I apply that to the game of life.
That's interesting. And you learned that from your own experiences, like being on set, dealing with producers, dealing with directors who didn't necessarily have that same mindset, you could say. Like, there's a lot of great ones out there that I'm sure you've worked with, but at the same time, like, you having the mentality of being a producer, making sure people are fed, making sure they're taken care of, so mentally they're ready to go, like, in their best format possible. Like, you knew that probably from bad experiences that you had.
Oh yeah, when I'm on a set where it's $100 million budget or $30 million budget, $1 million budget, or a set where there's no budget, if you tend to people's basic needs, it's super important. And then when you're on a SAG union project for a commercial TV show or a network, everyone has families and jobs to go home to. You need to show up to the set, and when you're clocked in, you need to be there on time, before your call time, and be prepared and be in it to win it with a positive mental attitude. And everyone goes through things, but handling in a professional way, and showing up to the mat every time, understanding we're human beings. But instead of, going to a union set and you're just like, no, it's the wrong kind of attention. It's a wasted kind of energy. I'd rather just show up with a book, show up being silent. And I learned through experience, because I was just excited when I was a kid going to set, and I wanted to like help the makeup artist and help this person and help this department, but they don't like it. Like, you're there to act, do your job, or there to model, do your job and leave. Like, if they ask your opinion, like, do you like this color or this color? Be like, oh, I like both, or I do like this color or this color. But like, don't go and try to do other people's jobs, because then it makes them feel insecure. It makes them feel belittled. It's like, you're crossing over a boundary and a line. Like everyone is showing up to do their job and we're all doing our part, and it's a collective. And I had to learn that the hard way because I was excitedly wanting to help and do it all, but also I had to learn about trust and confidence and being a team player. And even though I can do it all, doesn't mean I have to do it all. And like I was saying, before we jumped on recording, I admire you and your team because that you have a whole team that you're doing it with. It makes it more fun, and it's better to have those qualities through life.
You hear that, guys? They love getting shout outs, by the way. But yeah, that's so true because, like, in most of the stuff you've done, whether it be big roles, extra roles, background roles, whatever you're doing, like, you have to be a team player. Like other people, you have to tell them what to do sometimes. Like, everybody's got to be on the same page, but at the same time, if you take them out of their element, if they're in the pocket and you lose them, like, that's it. Like, they don't lose their confidence, but like you said, they just aren't in the same mindset as they were. In some of the stuff that you've played, because you got a very impressive resume. Always Sunny in Philadelphia, you had stuff there. I mean, doing scenes with De Niro and Al Pacino is legendary in its own right. What movie did you do scenes with them?
The film's called Righteous Kill with De Niro
Yeah.
and Pacino. And then Nicolas Cage, I played in a
Yeah.
film. Werner Herzog, he's one of the top 35 filmmakers in the world. He actually hand selected me and called me and offered me the role. He wanted to offer me
Wow.
personally. And I was on another film in Shreveport, Louisiana with Sharon Stone and 50 Cent and Val Kilmer doing Streets of Blood. But I did with Werner Herzog and Nicolas Cage, the Bad Lieutenant Protocol, New Orleans. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that again, it's very impressive and probably a wide variety, a wide array of different personalities you're dealing with too. Who was the most, it's kind of a standard question, but like, who was the most difficult person you ever worked with? Not to name drop, but kind of.
I want to point the finger and probably say myself. I
There you
would
go.
probably
That's a
get.
safe answer.
I mean, it's not only safe, but it's what naturally comes up because so many times along the way, I've gotten in the way of my own self and not knowing it through self sabotage. So that was probably the biggest lesson I had to learn, knowing when to get out of my own way. But I mean, if you want a juicy one, I could definitely think of someone who is difficult to work with. Huh. Hmm. Well, okay. She doesn't know this. She doesn't know this. And I worked with her, but I didn't directly work with her. I was actually a model in a fashion show. So it wasn't acting, but I was doing a modeling fashion show in Los Angeles one time. And Stephanie Seymour was in the show. And I was just a newbie getting started. And she's not Stephanie Seymour. Oh my God. No, not Stephanie Seymour. She's amazing. It was not Stephanie Seymour. Oh, who is this woman? Oh, I can't even think of her name. It's not Stephanie Seymour. Stephanie Seymour is flawless. Um, oh, what's her name? I can't even think of her name. Darn it. I can't think of her name. It was this model I was working with, and she doesn't even know, but she was on the other side of the room, but there was like this amateur hair person like doing my hair. And this woman, I can't think of her name, but she was on the phone and she starts like being very loud. And so the woman doing my hair turned around like this, and with an iron, I had circle, a huge circle, and it was a burn mark. And because she took the iron and went like this, and I
Oof.
was just so upset because I was burnt, my whole face. I mean, it's my face, and it went away, and there's no scar or anything. But that happened like earlier on in my career, and I was just so really upset about it. And it was indirectly because of her, and she doesn't even know to this day that that happened. But yeah, that was kind of really upsetting one time.
Have you
did
ever
that answer did that answer your question, or?
Definitely did. Did you ever have anybody give you constructive criticism, I guess is what the kids call it today, on set? And did it, like we were talking about earlier, like you mess with someone's rhythm, it could really set them off on set. Have you ever had any of those experiences to where, again, like I know you talk about mental health a lot as well, dealing with outside constructive criticism, but at the same time knowing who you are inside and kind of channeling that and bringing it all together on screen.
Yeah, one that comes up again. It was earlier on in my career. It was my agent actually who gave me the
Oh wow.
constructive criticism. And what happened was there was four models hired for this TV show, and we went and we all had to follow suit. And probably my egoic mind was much bigger than the project at hand. We were modeling some, fashion looks. And the other three models, they were older than me. They had probably more working experience than me. And all three of them went back and complained to my agent because I didn't fit in like them. And so I got this constructive criticism from my agent because I wasn't like the other girls. And I'm just like, I've never been kind of catty in that kind of way. So I don't think that agent ever booked me on that kind of job again. I definitely didn't work on that show again. I definitely never saw those girls again. But I'm not cookie cutter in that way, and that's totally fine. But it taught me a lesson of just like showing up. And I've heard this multiple times, just show up, do your job, and leave. And sometimes when people are interacting and talking, you think it's a gateway to like open up, but I open up a lot. So more than most people. So I have to be mindful to maybe, and I don't want to do that, feel like I have to be restricted in how much I open up. It's almost better just to like have a book. Um, I don't want to say be silent because you want to be there like you're having a good time, but just remember it's a job and just be like polite and cordial and just don't get too in depth when you're like on a professional set because like I said, there's so many other factors happening on set. So, we have to be mindful. I guess it could lead me back to maybe the shoot I was on yesterday too. When you hire someone who's an amateur and they're just like talking, 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 it's like it's too much. Like just go there, do your job, be an observer and just be more quiet and just listen and learn and absorb and just be in gratitude that you're there and just, do the work, do great work and then leave so you get called back.
When you were on set with De Niro and Pacino, was that very like you had to be disciplined? Like you weren't gonna say anything that was gonna set anybody off?
Oh, 1000%. On that set, you came in, you did your rehearsal, your marks, your takes, everyone, the cinematographer, everyone's the crew, everyone's doing their thing, the script supervisor's there. You're doing your work and then everyone dismantles and goes in their own way. It's just like you do your work and
Wow.
you leave. Yeah.
Were there more sets that were more fun as opposed to others? Like I feel like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. That had to be a fun set to be on.
Oh, that set was so much fun because it's scripted, but the guys, the trio, they gave free reign for us to ad lib and add buttons,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
call
yeah.
it in comedy. And so to enhance the energy and the esteem that happens in the moment. So you're really acting and you're playfully acting, but you didn't know if you were literally like on set taping or if you're just like in the trailer, like chilling, talking, hanging out, or offset, like just talk. It's like it was the same thing. It just felt so natural, which was very cool. I personally love comedy, and my goals right now is to be a household name on TV and in film and in animation voiceovers because I do voiceovers every day, which I love. So these are my goals. They're fun, I can do the dramatic roles, which I will, but I definitely love, doing character building through voices and comedy.
So do you like doing anime as well?
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
What's a
definitely.
character that you'd like to play through anime? 'Cause I feel like it's a
Um,
totally different element. Like you're actually having to do voiceovers and actually bring out this character that people aren't seeing through you, but through a character.
well, those characters really, they're in Japanese, and I'm just doing the English dub version of
Wow.
them. So they're not really ongoing characters. It's more of a one-off. The projects I've gone out for, not they haven't been recurring for video games. It's been yeah, more of like dubbing the English version of them.
Well, that's
But
got to be easier because you don't necessarily have to, like act out the part, because you're just, the voiceover is just coming over in the English version.
Well,
in
you
a way.
act out the part. Everything's the craft of acting. So you actually
Yeah.
have to have the physicality and be able to get underneath the bones of the character. But the cool thing is there's an iPad right in front of me. So it's easier on my mind so I don't have to memorize like all the language, and I can just like, you're not reading it, but it's on the screen, so I can, grab it off the page, but put some life to it. You definitely have to be very interactive with the character.
How quick or slow were you in developing some of these skills? As an actress, dating back to the time you did your first ever short film, all the way up to now. Like when you look back, like how quick or slow did you kind of develop? Like, okay, this is my personality. This is the role I have to play. And like looking back at some of the things, you're probably like, that was awful. But everybody does that. Everybody looks back at some of their past early on stuff and think that really sucked.
Honestly, I just have a natural ability. I have this thing where it's like anything I touch turns to gold, and I hit it on the first time. All the directors I work with, when they need something and want something, I'm a 1,000% girl. Like I mentioned, like just do it, like all or nothing. So when I go for it, I go for it. So when I take a shot with photography, when I'm a cinematographer and I'm shooting something, when I'm acting and we need to get the scene a take or something, I normally get it on the first take. I'm just like I'm like a bullseye. I'm just like boom, the target. I get it. So it's really great because I'm so open. My vessel is so open as an artist, as a human being, that I can explore vulnerability and emotions, whether it be the joyous of the joy comedy or it's the darkest of the low sorrow. I'm able just to go there. Even if I fully don't understand what that is, I allow my space to explore, to go there, especially if it's scary. And that's, true bravery and courage. And that's why, a lot of people like watching things on TV because it's like, oh my God, that actor did that thing. I could never do that, right? But we could if we just got out of our own way and got out of our own mind. We probably could go there and be that vulnerable because our emotions are so powerful.
How often do you write your own stuff? Because again, like you have the mindset to, I feel like, develop certain characters in your head that you'd want to play, and like, would you pitch any of them to certain writers?
Well, what you just said is super important to have a team. So I have a Red Egg that I did into a short film through SAG. I did Trigger Flaws. It's a web series. It's scripted, the pilot and the second episode. We did a project called Green Beans. My two partners, they wrote it. I came up with the concept and the vision. Couples therapy that we did during the lockdown, couples therapy lockdown series. Um, we were putting out all this energy, and what you just said, it's like, how I was thinking, I'm like, how can it be reciprocal? Like I'm putting all this great content out there, how can it be reciprocal? And during the pandemic, I thought, I created in March 2020, we shot season 1, 2, and 3. Season 1 and 2 is available on the Sophisticated Psychos YouTube channel called Couples Therapy, improv comedy web series. I thought, let me put it in the film festival circuit. So I did my research and then we put it into the film festival circuit, and we've won 27 best web series awards so far. I won best director for 4, best actor for 4. So then we can get it out there internationally. So directors, producers, financiers, people see it and want to put money into it, sponsor it, and put it onto a network. Things like that. So season 3 is being released before the end of the year, and then we already have slated to shoot season 4 and season 5. So that's couples therapy, and then I'm incorporating it now with the podcast, kind of like Selena Gomez's project with Steve Martin and um,
Yeah,
oh, I love them. They're so good. Martin Short.
right.
Yeah. So it's really important, for it to be reciprocal and for sponsors to come on and investors to come on. And that's been a journey of mine to, say, hey, like, um, sponsor this, give us funding for this. And now I already have a body of work and they can see my accolades and my consistency in the development of who I am and what I do and the quality of the people I bring on to get it done in a short amount of time. That's the, in the 1% level where it's high content quality for low fees, to build that trusted source for people to be able to support, finance, and invest into, what I've been birthing and creating. It takes, proof in the pudding, your ethics, your morals, your values. It takes time and consistency and a team to be able to make all those things happen.
Right, because you could have a great product, and at the same time, you don't have the right partners that not only you talk about the funding, but at the same time believe in what you're trying to put out there. How difficult was it, in the early years? Again, even in most recent years, it could have been, you know, finding certain partnerships for people to, fund what you're doing. Because again, like you could have something on the table that's great, like you're really passionate about it and you want it to work, but at the same time, it just didn't work out.
It's so difficult. It is so difficult, and it's still so difficult. It's still difficult. I mean, I'm not. I mean, with getting started in the beginning and being around, success is measured, but find around people who have billions and multi millions of dollars, and then even to raise capital as a producer since I was a child, in trying to get a lot of men, to I would look to men when I was younger to think that they're going to invest in my dreams and what I was doing, and I was wanting them to sponsor and be a part of what I was doing, and they saw I was such a good person, but it was, it's like I felt like I wasn't taken seriously as a businesswoman. They were just wanting to date me, or or they'd be like, oh, pretty little Katie the connector, like, oh, call me up when they need something, let me introduce people to people, and I do that energetically because it feels good. But then, oh, but not saying, let's give her 5% for doing the initial connection. We've gone, in our fourth year, we're in Saks Fifth Avenue, we broke $1 billion. But how did this all start? Because Katie, connected me with these people. No, people don't do that, and I didn't have a one-page agreement as a consultant saying, hey, 5% gross or 5% net, like I'm going to take for X amount of years, and have a contract deal, for people to maybe invest. And so that's just like one example of one thing where I've helped other people make money. Like I said, anything I touch turns to gold. I introduce a lot of people, but I'll before, not now, I would leave myself out of the equation. My personal resistance is my personal need. We all have a resistance. We all have resistances and insecurities. It's a part of our genetic codes, and mine is personal need. I would be able to take care of you and take care of everyone, but then leave myself out for some reason, feeling like it was selfish, or I would feel shameful or guilty in a way. I let my emotions get in the way of myself, which I'm not doing anymore. And I'm aware, but I had to, some reason, grow through that, go through that. And I can take all that. It's not wasted because I can apply it to my craft as an actor. I can put it into my work. I can say, these are my losses, but I can learn from them, right? There's a famous quote. It's like, you want to see a successful person, see how many times they failed. So I'm open to share and discuss those things and be totally honest. And it doesn't all make sense, but that's life. Everything happens every which way for different people. There's no two stories alike. Everyone has a different story. That's why one of the reasons why I'm here on your show, and I have my podcast, to be raw and real with people about how it may look, and if it's like people want to judge me for it, well, hey, I'm in this thing called the game of life, and I'm learning as I go, and we all have our insecurities and our shortcomings, but we can hold hands and not judge one another and learn and grow through those things.
So, what's your advice to young actresses out there? And this will be the last thing I ask you. I don't want to take too much of your time as we come towards the end of the segment here. About not only making it in the industry, because again, like the foundation is your passion and drive to get to the point where you are a great actor, a great actress, pursuing a certain role. But at the same time, like you've mentioned, when it comes to the finance side of it, the business side of it, what's your advice? Going through some of the experiences that you went through, stuff that you wouldn't want young aspiring actresses to go through themselves.
Great question. Great question. The number one thing I would say is invest in yourself. I wanted so many other people. The one thing I wanted so much with all my creativity, I wanted other people to invest in me financially. And I did invest in myself with my time and my care, my craft of acting and talent and networking and nurturing. But it's there's four quadrants, there's all aspects. And I wasn't financially investing in myself. I was scared to. because I even heard, of course, you want other people to invest in you. And I even heard like the most successful, quote unquote, financial successful people find other investors. They don't use their own money. But there's reward in that risk when you actually financially invest in yourself. And when I started taking that from so outside of myself for so many years and I started investing in myself financially, everything started to flourish. All of the trains on the train tracks left the station and they all had a life of their own, and it's been so blissful and so wonderful, and to have growth. And now, since I took the initial step and I invested in myself financially, now I'm able to confidently have sponsors and have other people invest in me because I invested in myself first and foremost.
Well, that's awesome to hear, Katie. And thanks so much for coming on the show. We're going to have to do this again sometime. So much more that I'd love to talk to you about at some other time. We got to wrap up the segment, though, today. Again, this was another edition of The O Show presented by Mayweather Boxing and Fitness. They're opening up in October. Again, Katie, thank you so much. Zach, hit your close, man.